everybody. Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Grab your coffee, tea, lemon water, wine, whatever it is you're drinking. Put your feet up. Join the conversation. Elise, Jeanette, and I meet every week and just discuss all things spirit and what's going on. And right now, there's a lot going on. I'm sure you're probably well aware that there's a lot going on right now. It's like a long list, and we're here for it. We are here for it. So let's talk eclipse season, retrograde. We got Mercury, we got Venus in retrograde, what that looks like, what that can look like, um, and really what this new moon partial solar eclipse kind of represents for us and in our life and what we can maybe process and what we're processing and take it as like an enormous opportunity in our life for kind of like rebirth and creating anew. So yeah, welcome ladies. Let's get into it.
There's so much to get into too.
I
So
know.
let's look at some dates here specifically. So depending when you're watching this, the solar eclipse that we're talking about is on March 29th. Um, so that's a big doozy day, a big energy. Some people think that the lunar eclipse that we had on the 13th, 14th was bigger. However, so the energy of that was a full moon, so it was like big and bold and full. Yet this partial eclipse that we have, the solar eclipse though, has
Solar.
this like underlying heat. It's almost like those forest fires that burn underground and then pop up somewhere. Like that's kind of how I see the energy of this solar eclipse. So it's like it's there and it's there to show you something you might not be seeing it yet, but it can be the thing with the solar eclipse is it usually represents like new beginnings, new clarity, new start, new understandings, all in that kind of new factor.
Mm-hmm.
Eclipses are usually closures, something like that. But this one has a high potential to surprise you. But it's so important to remember that the surprise isn't necessarily negative. I think eclipses get a really bad rap, understandably, though, I want to say, because we've all had our butts kicked before with eclipses.
Because they're intense.
They are intense.
Yeah.
But this one can also bring, they're showing it to me like a flower bouquet of, or a seven of cards, or seven of cups card, however you want to see it. But in that, there's a lot of different things it's bringing. So it's bringing some really good things. It can also bring some challenging things, but altogether, it's bringing you this transformative experience. So I think that's a really big thing happening right now that maybe we can just start with the eclipse and then get into some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I heard too, like a way of kind of seeing it or working with it is not necessarily like getting to the grindstone of like all your manifestation tools, but actually just like living in the energy of the ideal or of the new of like what it is. Like let's say your intention in especially in spring and stuff is to, to bring forward a new business or to find a new location or to grow a garden or whatever it might be. And so sometimes just like holding that feeling and just like the intensity and the amplification of the energy right now. So if you're like sitting in the energy of the joy within your garden or on your front porch, or like going and visiting family or whatever it is that you're wanting to be in, to amplify that feeling is the day of the eclipse. So like you can really use this whole day to amplify any of those like highest vibrational feelings or intentions or anything to be, and that's what's amplified. That's what is, being focused upon. And the opportunity for that is enormous today. So, and let all the things that come up, feel all the feels that go through it without judgment. And you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if it's all coming from underneath, like Jeanette was saying, then chances are there's going to be a lot that comes to the surface. And it's like sometimes saying and acknowledge, like saying goodbye or even just acknowledging some of the under the surface stuff that maybe has hung out there for a long time can be really intense too. without judgment, hopefully, that we can just like take a look at it without judgment and see what comes up and be like, whoa, that was under there for a long time. Even without even labeling it, just being like, that's an intense emotion.
I've been hearing from so many people just the intensity of things coming up and the surprising nature of it. People saying things like, I'm not normally like this, or like, this is not something that I normally think or feel, or I thought I had put this to bed like a long, long, long time ago. And experiencing that for myself as well. And, you know, what you were saying, Lisa and Jeanette, even with the underground aspect of this, is it's like leading into the big energy of this eclipse. And then I'm sure we'll talk too about Neptune into Aries. And like, Jeanette, I think you'll probably be able to articulate it better than me, in relation to like the conscious evolution that that's creating for a lot of people. It's like, okay, let's bring up the deepest depths of the stuff that like you didn't even necessarily have on your radar at all or anymore, and then like really forcing people to be in it. Like it really feels like there was not a lot of, there's always choice, but it's like you really have to choose to turn away from the things that are coming up right now, because it felt like everybody was just kind of being full body, mind, and spirit like plunged into it. And then you can like claw your way out and try to turn away from it and be like, no, no, I don't want to. um but for most of us, it was like you're so in it that it's like you couldn't try to claw your way out and avoid it if you wanted.
That's
um
very true.
like full body, mind, soul experience. And so for me, it's like, oh, I can even feel it in my body right now. It's like the intensity of that has just been so great, so great, and so um tough. Like
Yeah,
tough
you know what
to,
song keeps coming up as you're talking? I don't know if like all the lyrics, but what's the one? It's like an old one. I think it's like early 2000s where it's like, can't fight the moonlight deep in
oh
the
my gosh,
dark.
Coyote Ugly.
Coyote Ugly. I remember rocking
It's
out so
Leanne
hard to
Rhymes.
that. There's something in that song. I'd like to look at the lyrics. Play it.
Mhm.
You guys play that song today. See if it resonates anything. Leanne Rhymes. It
Yeah,
is Leanne Rhymes. Oh,
I
homegirl.
randomly watched that movie not that long ago. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yes. I was sitting, I'm like, I needed like emotional support movie. What's something like, and I'm like, Coyote Ugly. Very random. It's
Oh my
good.
gosh. I think I saw that movie only once, like when it
Super
came out.
cheesy, but super. Oh, gee, I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted.
Mercury is retrograding. And then the microwave. Nope, still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
In real time.
Mama.
All right.
That was
Mm.
really funny. Oh, I like that.
Good. So, speaking with your Neptune comment, Elise, Neptune on the 30th, I can't remember if you mentioned that or not. Did you mention the
I
30th?
didn't
I did
mention it
not.
in the intro. I mentioned the retrogrades and the eclipse. But yes, here comes Mercury. No, no, here comes Neptune.
Soon. Yeah, on the 30th, moving into Aries. And like Elise said, like it's really interesting because the whole purpose of Neptune, though, moving into Aries, is it wants to bring out our spiritual warrior because it is a brand new cycle. And we have never seen this cycle in our lifetimes. It's a really long cycle. I can't remember how many years, but like we haven't seen this in our lifetime.
I think
So,
Neptune and Aries was 1875, I heard.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's like 167 years ago or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
And so it's this new, like, the world is ready for this spiritual warrior revolution, and it has to come from within. So, like what Elise was saying, it is going to show you kind of all of the things. It's with purpose, though, with such purpose to bring you into your fullest alignment, into what a spiritual warrior means for you. Because the whole purpose of it is to help bring this new change in how we do things. So instead of doing things in a very structured, linear way, we're going to bring in that spiritual knowledge of things to create new structures that used to be linear. And so it's kind of like beckoning back the golden age, when the golden age really balanced like science and spirituality. It's that kind of thing. We're getting that rise of that spirituality side so it can start to balance out the sciencey side and then start to create this golden age. So it's
Gosh,
a
can you ever
changing
see that
thing.
happening in the health world, like you ladies were
Mhm.
talking about
Yeah.
last week?
Mhm.
Like balancing out the spiritual side with the science side. You're seeing it
Mhm.
happen in all ways.
Yeah.
Mhm. And they're even in the, as you were talking about this, Jeanette, it was, they were talking about how, so last week when we talked about that, we were talking about it from more of a like a bigger lens of like people experiencing these longer term health challenges. But they're also saying that like in this eclipse portal, people are experiencing, you might not call it like a health challenge in the sense of I'm sick or I'm this, but it's like body based challenges, can be illness, can also be other things, right? And so even that, it's like that's happening also on a microcycle, that like invitation inward within this portal. It's like it's happening on higher levels, but also in these moments too, where there's this intense upgrade that has to happen and conscious like evolution that has to happen in order, or like as we shift into Neptune in Aries.
Yeah.
So Neptune is a planet of like spiritual awareness.
Yeah. Like spiritual awakening, the rise of spirituality on a much bigger scale, like much bigger. Yeah. Mm, yeah. And it's something that I think will really start to show an even greater divide between the 3D and 5D consciousness mentality.
I was thinking the same
Like
thing.
parting the waters kind of divide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as this was coming in, it's so funny. It's obviously so aligned. Because while you were saying that, I'm like, you know, this is real what this is really doing with the Aries energy too, like of the air, not that all Aries have to be battlers and warriors, but that's kind of what we're known for. But it's almost like as spiritual warriors, so to speak, we're like we will maintain on all different levels of who we are, we'll maintain our ability to hold our frequency and like that ups our game a bit. But in that, before like there's more of that like real split, you can see the forces working against it, right? But when we have so much that's tipping in the area of spirit and like and what we're doing, you can even see the rise in people waking up and having these like incredible Kundalini awakenings and these like spiritual experiences and encounters and just even things that just resonate. They just hear something, they're like, oh my God, that just resonates. What's this about? You know what I mean? And how quickly that has transformed and changed. I feel like this is bringing in that next level oomph of that for like a obviously big, but also in that you see the division even more clearly, which can be disheartening, but it also becomes more visibly aware. Like people can be more visibly aware then to the density of something in which no longer serves them or no longer aligns with them or in their energy. You know what I mean? It just becomes more clear. Where before it was like you know you kind of dabble back and forth with it, and you always make space and stuff. But when there's like that density of that perception or that view or that linear perspective, it's all of a sudden like so much not aligned with what you're doing anymore that you can't even like be like, yeah, 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 for sure. It's like, no, I understand that that's where they're at, that's their beliefs, but that's no longer in my space anymore. It
Hmm.
will become more and more and more clear. I think this is helping that to happen too.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's a game changer. It really is a game changer in our evolution. It's a big deal. Like astrologers have been talking about it for a long time, looking towards March 2025 when Neptune moves for a long time. So we're right like in the beginnings of it, but it's set to be a massive game changer for how we do things. And so I think it's a really good thing because I mean, by this point now, for those that are into spiritual things and Following astrology, it is so clear how our cycles on this planet align with the astrological cycles, right?
Yeah.
And the way it plays out can be very different for everybody. It's not always on a positive, not always on a negative for everyone, depending how you read it. But the collective energies follow the astrology. It's unbelievable.
The theme, the
Unbelievable.
themes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my guides were telling me too that the same goes for all the other planets too. Like they have their astrology based on their planets that they follow because it's the greater macrocosm, right? All things are connected from the very top to the very bottom, if you want to see that. And if our humans are the bottom, we're just milling around in this microcosm. But the universe and the galaxies have their own macrocosm, right?
Yeah.
I think it was last year, Spirit told me how our solar system is moving through this place in space according to the greater spatial astrology, which I reached out to a couple astrologers. I'm like, do you know about this kind of astrology? And they're like, not quite, but in theory, that would make sense. I'm like, Spirit was saying there's a bigger one, and it's beyond what we can see, but again, it's this macro micro thing all playing out. So it's not a small thing that Neptune moves in.
Like our galaxy is transitioning the same as, like, let's say the planet is transitioning through the sun. Like our galaxy is actually going through the transformational change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can't even remember. Oh, I wish I could remember. I can kind of see my sketches in my journal, what we were moving into or out of. It was like moving into Scorpio or moving out of Scorpio. I can't
I was
remember.
gonna say, like, what would it be a good example of it? Like, what would we be just moving out of towards more like, let's say, higher conscious? So, what would be a good example? Like, I wonder in directional, like, if you can figure that out.
I think it was something like Scorpio into Sagittarius type thing.
Yeah. Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I was like, no offense to the Capricorn. I think I have some serious stuff going on with Capricorn, but I was like, I hope we're not moving into Capricorn.
No offense to Capricorns. I'm a Gemini and people make fun of Gemini all the time. So,
Do
okay.
they?
Oh my God. Yes.
Gemini?
Yeah. Geminis are such a scapegoat for being absolutely like crazy
Chaotic.
and
I
two-faced.
literally was watching a TikTok yesterday where they were talking about like Gemini as like chaos makers and just
I
like
know.
chaotic.
Right?
Really? You're
Yes.
literally the
Like that
least
does not
chaotic
track
person I
for
know
me.
at all.
I
But I
know.
think that also speaks to like the greater aspect of our astrology,
Of
right? Like,
course.
Yeah.
And you're
putting
not
yourself in a
hanging
little
out in the
label.
shadow part of your sun
Yeah.
either, right? And it depends where your sun is. And like my sun in Aries, you guys, is the exact degree of this eclipse and the retrogrades.
Gosh, no wonder
It's
you're
the
feeling
exact
it.
degree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot.
It's been super chill for you though, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it
Oh,
was here.
calm and collect, cool, and it's all good. It's all good. Um, on the like, you know, coming back to this like science and spirit, and I saw a creator on TikTok, I think it was, and I'll say too that Jeanette, your point about like astrologers have been talking about this, and you'll hear out in the world like this is so big and this is so big, but this is like actually so big, like,
Actually.
But for real, guys,
but like
we're not
100
bullshitting you here. This
no,
time we're for real.
yeah, like not just like a little bit big, it's like a big,
Yeah.
because it feels like everyone's like, oh, this moon and that moon and but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I
When
think
someone's like, "Oh, what moon are we in?" Yeah, yeah. No, this is a
yeah,
big
it's like this collectively though, everyone's like, oh shit, this is a lot. And to your point, like astrologers have been saying we've been watching the lead up to March, April, like for a long time. So it is big this
Yeah.
time, not just like sort of big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but then I was watching this one creator, and she is like a PhD in microbiology or some super smart human thing.
Fun.
And she was like, astrology is scientific. And she's like, I will die on this hill and argue with anyone in science who disagrees with me, because she's like, astrology, sure, it's not quantitative in that it's like I can measure the amount of, because a lot of people say like, oh, well, there's no studies that support that ER visits on full moons actually increases, or it's all just like anecdotal and da da da. And she was like, astrology has a qualitative set of data from like thousands of years.
From Babylonian times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this is not
Literally.
just like, ooh, some people
And
decided to
if
like
we
draw some
just
triangles
if
on
we
the
just
sky map.
went on quantitative, we might be going down a rabbit hole here.
Fair.
But like here we are on Spirit Coffee Talk. If we just went on quantitative data on even space exploration and understanding alone, what is I think I was literally, because I'm working with my son on his science project on something in space, right? He get to pick anything in space. And he picked black matter
Oh,
because he's obsessed
So
with that
great.
kind of stuff, right? He's obsessed.
that's
That's
so
all he
cool.
wants to talk about is quantum physics and this like black holes. And
Amazing.
so he found out about dark matter and we're looking at it and the quantitative data on on like actual like visual tangible matter in space is 5%.
Mhm.
Five. That's what we know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, if I can't see it, I don't believe it. So you literally believe in like 5% of reality. And like, no shade, but like, this is the kind of stuff we're talking about with Neptune and Aries is more
Mhm.
and more people are expanding their ability to understand that there's so much more than like the touch, right? You know, like our multi-dimensional selves are expanding and understanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
So
love it.
with all of that happening, plus Mercury
Yeah.
retrograde, plus Venus retrograde, so Mercury being the communication or tech issues, like treading carefully with what you say, and then Venus retrograde, highlighting relationships, how you feel in relationships.
What's important to you.
Yeah, there's a lot being asked of our mind, bodies, and spirit at this very moment, right? So I think, first of all, it's okay if you are feeling completely overwhelmed. Like you're not weak. You
Mhm.
are completely feeling the vibes. But the thing is when you have those feelings of complete overwhelm, it means you are purposely, willingly swimming in this massive transformation. You're
Yeah.
not you're not afraid of getting in the pool, you're in the pool. Whether you got pushed or not, you're in the pool. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing because once you're in the pool, that's where the transformations can happen when you pay attention to what's coming up for you. And I think that's one of the biggest things with eclipse season plus retrogrades is notice what's coming up for you because that's what the universe, your guides are bringing forward for you to see.
Oof.
Both like
Mhm.
good and not so good,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes it's acknowledging the things you're doing amazingly that maybe you're not giving yourself credit for, as well as the other things that like, oh, I need to do some work on this. And what is that work, right? It's a time, I think, to not step into the panic mindset,
Definitely.
old
Mhm.
mindset, and try to step into the trust mindset,
Yeah.
which is asking the hardest thing to do when triggered by every direction.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like literally surrendering to it because the more that you're trying to swim against it to make it figure outable, achievable, sustainable, whatever it might be, the harder it's going to be in this energy. It's like double the current, right?
Mhm.
Turn up the volume until you friggin' just receive. And then once the true like surrender happens, like the true surrender, where you're like, all right, I see this shadow part coming up, or I see this whatever coming up, and I'm like, I'm here for it. Like truly,
Mhm.
you know, is when it all of a sudden actually becomes significantly easier within a very difficult feeling. You know what I mean? It's easy, there's ease within the difficulty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
They're reminding me in what you both just said, but Jeanette, you had, I don't know if you talked about it, where you talked about it, but the idea of there's so much Aries fire and supporting yourself through water. And I'm sure you have more to say on that, not to put you on the spot, but Lisa, what you were just saying, it's like this gives me anxiety because I think of it like the ocean. But it's like if you're
Hawaii Ocean, Elise,
trauma,
remember that was awesome.
I know there's been a lot of shark attacks though, so my brain is like, go get, there could have been a shark.
You went out so deep too first.
I know I could have
For
been eaten by a
hours.
No,
shark in that. Like, I know we're not going to go there. Anyways,
Anyway,
talk about traumas coming up. But the idea of like, if you're struggling in it, it's a lot harder to keep your head above the water versus if you surrender and let yourself float, it will
Yeah.
help you. Like you'll float with ease
Yes.
and you can allow it to kind of take you where it needs to versus this like panicked, um, this panicked process of trying to keep your head up.
What's the spiritual significance of a mouse?
of a mouse? Well, it can represent like fertility and multiplying. It can represent cunning, survival, um, burrowing, going under, going in. Those are kind of the things I remember reading about. Did you just see one?
Well, not a real one.
In spirit, I hope.
Like over and over. They just keep showing me this little baby mouse in my corner and I'm looking like for real. I'm like, okay, that's a real one. And it's not. It's just a
Hmm.
spiritual mouse
New spirit animal?
Mm.
hanging
Maybe.
out in the corner. That's really wild.
Um,
Um,
oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, you go. You go.
I was just gonna say I pulled cards, so I can do that after.
Yes.
I pulled cards too, so you go first and then I'll go.
Okay. Um, so I pulled really neat cards from the, I can't see the label. I can't remember, something of light deck. Anyways, it's a great deck. I'll do a better job at promoting it next time. But the first one was Untapped Power. And this one says you're getting ready to experience great power from within yourself. And I thought that was so perfect with this whole eclipse season. It's like whatever you're going through, whatever you're feeling, you are unraveling and revealing untapped power for
Mhm.
yourself. If you sit with it, like if you are willing to swim in the pool, don't run to the edge, swim in the pool, dive in deeper, look around kind of thing, because there's something very specific to the divine timing. Like we've said, like we talked about with Neptune, to this whole eclipse season and you where you are right now. And this card says, what you are working on now is divinely guided. So what you're working on right now is really helping to bring you into your untapped power.
What are the two numbers?
24, which is a six, and then number six. So two sixes. And sixes really are always about that like give and like um give and receive energy, right? So what you put out, you get back. So that's interesting. If you're really willing, you'll get back a lot.
Spirit kept saying, ask what the numbers, ask what the numbers. That's interesting. My address is 66.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Very cool.
I like that. That's really synchronistic. Cool. Elise, what did you get?
So I pulled from this deck, the Magical Spirit Oracle.
Okay.
So when I first pulled it out, I saw the bottom card on the deck and I was like, ooh, I want that one. I'm going to just pull it out. And then I was like, no, put it in, let it shuffle. And of course, it was the first one I pulled, which is probably the water piece or why that was coming back. But it's time to come home.
Mm.
And it's talking about it's the goddess of the sea coming back home to ourselves, but really talking about purification, the ego, allowing ourselves to be submerged in the energy, and that the energy of it, the energy of submerging our, when we submerge ourselves, the energy of water will allow it to be cleared, to be purified, etc. Then we got breaking into the bloom. Sometimes you will break before you bloom. And this talks about time, understanding, and liberation, which I really loved the word liberation. And this also reminded me, we forgot to talk about the fact that it was just the spring equinox in the beginning of the astrological new year as well. So it's like more new beginnings, this liberation of breaking out and blooming. And then the last one is truth. That which is true will always be enough. And this one talks about honor, integrity. It also talks about liberation. But what I really, there was a piece in this where it talks about the honest path, the honorable knight, the noble empress, the liberation of self, The highest view can be seen once we've reached the mountain peak. And what a breathtaking view it is. A grueling climb that requires strength and perseverance can lead to a feeling of total freedom. This is what it feels like to set yourself free by the power of truth, fulfillment on the level of the soul, wholeness of self. Regardless of what the world may see, you have earned your own sight. So for me, that was just this like, we are going through it. We are moving up. We're doing that grueling climb. There's honorability in that, there's liberation in that. And as we're shifting up, it's allowing ourselves to be cleansed, to be purified by all of the things that are coming up. And that leads us to liberation. It leads us to bloom. It leads us to this new phase that we've just like no one has ever seen. And it's wild.
That is wild.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. That aligns big
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Let's do. Yeah.
And you're right, it is that new territory. New territory. That was one of the things Spirit mentioned in as a little heads up on the April energy update, is this new territory. Like we're really walking in new territory, and it's new, it's different. Don't go back to the old. Venture into the new, even if it's like unsteady.
Mhm.
Mhm. Interesting. Did you pull cards, Lisa?
Yeah, I just pulled one because that's as soon as I pulled it, I stopped there. I got the regeneration card,
Oh yeah, for sure.
right?
And
No
look at that
doubt.
fire under the surface.
I know.
Ah, right?
I know. It's all about the like, even the Phoenix. There's so much that has come up about the Phoenix, the rise of the Phoenix, and like this is like regenerating after that big fire, right? And it's 46, and 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 is like end of a cycle, right? Completion.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Rest, drink lots of water. Let whatever comes through, sit with it. That's the best advice I can give at this point in time.
Just like don't run from stuff. It's not worth it. Like
Mm-mm.
like the shadows for you, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Not as
No,
big when you look
and
at
I
it.
don't think you can.
Oh, yeah, it's
So
true.
it's like you can run, but like you're not going to outrun it at this point. And so the more that you can like hold it, just hold it.
Yeah.
Stop the floundering in the water like Elise in the ocean and just float
Yeah.
gently, peacefully.
Yes.
Heard Spirit cranking the Coyote Ugly song. They're like, just look around, crank the song and dance.
Yes.
Sing it at the top of your
With the
lungs.
moonlight.
Right?
I'm gonna actually listen to that song.
I'm gonna
It's a
watch that
great
movie.
I'm
soundtrack.
gonna watch that movie too.
So good.
That's maybe not the family movie I'm gonna choose for tonight, but
No.
I'm gonna watch it on my own.
Amazing.
Oh, amazing.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for showing up. Good luck, sending tons of love, and just, all the things that we said. I was gonna say, like, open your heart, hold it to be true, but yeah, like everything that we said. And this will look differently,
Mm.
independently, yet this is a very collective energy. And so know that you're not alone in this. Okay? And we're sending lots of love, and we hope to see you back next week. Like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with anybody that you think would really benefit from this conversation. So, thanks so much, everybody, for showing up today. And happy eclipse and all the other astrological craziness that is occurring within us right now. Bye, everyone.